Hello, this is Mary Renee. I want to share out of my Bible a gift. The Languages of the Bible by the Reverend C.H.H. Wright, D.D., Ph.D. The languages in which the originals of the sacred scriptures have come down to us are three in number, namely Hebrew. The Hebrew language is a branch of the great Semitic family of languages spoken in Palestine, Phoenicia, Syria, Mesopotamia, Babylonia, Assyria, and Arabia. The territory in which the Semitic language was indigenous embraced the countries bounded by the Mediterranean Sea on the west and extended east beyond the great rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. It stretched from the mountains of Armenia in the north to the south coast of Arabia. The Semitic spread in very early times from Arabia into Africa and ultimately became the common language of Abyssinia, where it still preserved its hold. It was also extended by means of the Phoenician colonies over very considerable districts of North Africa, and even became common in several of the islands of the Mediterranean, notably in Cyprus and Malta. The Canaanites, who dwelt in Palestine prior to the settlement of the Israelites in the country, spoke a Semitic language, as is clear from the names they gave to their cities. There is no doubt that there were considerable dialectical differences between the Hebrew language as spoken in the north and that which prevailed in the south of Palestine. Some few remains of those peculiarities have been traced by scholars, but the written language of the law and the prophets was essentially one and the same, and all the books of the Old Testament were written in Hebrew, with the exception of the portions noted in the next paragraph, Biblical Aramaic. Several portions of the books of the Old Testament are written in a peculiar Aramaic dialect, often miscalled Chaldee, a mistake which arose from a misconception of Daniel 1:4 with Daniel 2:4. Jerome, the translator of the Latin Vulgate, perpetuated and popularized this mistake. Although Aramaic seems to have been extensively used as a language of trade and commerce, and occasionally employed in official proclamations, it was not the language of the court of Babylonia. The biblical Aramaic has certain marked peculiarities, but is closely akin to the Aramaic of the Targums and to Syriac. The following portions of the Old Testament are in this language. And there's a list. Ezra. If you want to see it all, you can screenshot it. Let me see if I can focus them. There we go. Let's go down here. Matthew's Gospel was not originally composed in Hebrew. If that is so, the original is lost, for the Greek only is extant. The Greek of the New Testament is not, however, the Greek of the classical writers, but Greek as spoken by Jews and modified accordingly. It is generally termed Hellenistic Greek, that is, the Greek spoken by the Hellenists or Greek-speaking Jews. What? The Jews spoke Greek? Oh no. And the Jews who settled in Alexandria in Egypt, when Alexander the Great founded that city, and whose numbers were swelled by constant deportations, and well as immigrants, became distinguished in after times for their literary ability. Yeah, something I need to work on, apparently. And wrote in this was easily understood by persons acquainted with the classical language. All right, so the Septuagint version, including the apocryphal books of the Old Testament, is written in Hellenistic Greek and is therefore of great importance for the student of the New Testament, wholly apart from the value of that version as the most ancient translation of Hebrew scriptures. So there you go. It's everywhere. Not just me. I am not the only one. But I've had this in my possession for years now, and I read it years ago, and I was very awakened by it because, they were trying the name game. Jesus always wins. Stay ready.